Happy Monday, it's Dr. PJ, and I wanted to come on and do a very real segment of college that's probably impacting a lot of parents as they take their children to colleges and these residential campuses and sometimes commuter campuses. Just wanted to touch some of the things that are very basic that would lead your child and you to a successful matriculation as the semester begins to start for this fall. So a lot of campuses I saw on Twitter, Instagram, I do not have Facebook, but I heard about Facebook, where a lot of campuses did move-in day this past weekend. So a lot of people in some instances were successful with that, and there were some that were not as successful. And they had a little bit of delays in regards to getting on campus and getting their child started. And we'll say student opposed to child, even though a child is. Okay, we'll just leave it there. But anyway, things that could prevent you from having that delay, one of which is going to be make sure that you are actually involved with your student as early as the application process. You know, a lot of times we want to leave them to their own devices and we believe that someone else could do it, but it's actually our job to ensure that they are being successful, even in the application process. When I applied to college, I did do some applications through the guidance counselor in my high school, but I understand that that's a little bit different now. A lot of students are independent as technology has advanced. You know, they can easily apply to college sometimes from their cellular devices, iPads, and not necessarily have to go to a computer. But when I went to school, it was a paper application. But of course, no one deals with paper, and given our past situation with the pandemic, it was hard to even get paper to these schools. So anyway, we were well ahead in regards to that. But even in the application process, there's pertinent information that is collected on the student that could lead to, you know, maybe a delay in processing of certain information later on, or even just being successful in that process or whatnot. But given that the application is very important, that custodial parents, any kind of mentor, any adult, if it's your student, I'm going to approach this from a parent-child perspective. So if that is your child, you want to make sure that you actively engage even in the application process. After doing the application, there's a segment that would ask, how are you going to pay for this? Are you going to use financial aid? Do you qualify for financial aid? Are you paying out of pocket? Are you using veteran benefits? How are you paying for this? That's a very important component that I know even for myself, I really had to actively engage with my mother. And mind you, that was give or take 17 years ago when I actually applied for undergraduate school or whatnot. But I had to definitely engage with my mother to complete the FAFSA and make any financial decisions as it pertained to my matriculation into an institution or just simply going to college or whatnot. Of course, there are some students that perform better than others, so there are scholarship opportunities and there are opportunities based upon needs that could help pay for school. Second to that, you know, after you're accepted through the admissions office, usually you're passed over to an academic advisor. So that person assesses any test or entrance examinations that I know we did waive a lot of test scores, standardized tests, and probably about 10 years ago, Harvard stopped taking them. So, but anyway, that's a conversation for another video. But any ACT or SAT scores or placement examinations, if you do the AccuPlacer, some institutions might require that in light of an ACT or SAT score. But nonetheless, even that is another conversation. But any placement examination and high school transcripts, that is what the academic advisor is going to use to place your student in their respective classes, general education classes that are going to be required for their major. So it's very important that information be on hand and you understand that process as to how they get a schedule. And second to that, there's an orientation. Very important. I know a lot of schools, again, given in the last year and what we've had to go through, you know, nothing was in person. So those that actually still decided to go and not take that gap year and go to college, they did do a virtual orientation. It's very important. Orientation is very important. Very, 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 very important. I can't stress that enough. Orientation is going to be a time where they pretty much bring you in and make it make sense to you as to what it is that you're going to be doing, what you're getting yourself into, the commitment that you're going to make in regards to time. And again, this is both at this point for the parent as well as the student, because it's very important, while there are support services on campus, that whomever is bringing the student to campus actually has an idea as to what is happening on campus. So a lot of times you'll see there's an orientation for parents as well as there's an orientation for students. So this is where you get the chance to actually visit the campus, whether it be virtual, okay? So it'll be like a campus tour via camera or whatnot, as well as get acquainted and get any additional questions that may not have been answered during that application process, during that registration process. This is the opportunity to do so. I know this fall, a lot of campuses and almost everybody in the continental United States is having on-ground classes, right? So there's no more online. You're coming back, you're getting the chance to do the real and the full college experience on campus. So there were some in-person orientations. Whether they were socially distanced or not, I'm more than certain that they were. Again, that's another video within itself. But it's very important to actually come to orientation, get that additional information, get grounded in what exactly it means to start this journey of college. We would hope that it would be a 4-year commitment, but in some instances, given the major and given your particular student, it could actually take 5 years, okay? But hopefully you would do just the 4 that's required to take those needed hours so that you can get out. But during the orientation, you get the chance to experience campus life if it was on ground. So we're talking about as of today, right? Or this past summer. Experience actual campus life, what it would be like, even though it's somewhat abbreviated given our current circumstances or whatnot. But seeing what the student life is like, visiting the dining halls. Again, you know, we shape these orientations to be for students as well as parents, but also importantly, sometimes you get to do the Q&A with said offices, you know, while you're away, you know, while through your application process or whatnot. You know, you had to respond to this email, you had to respond to that email, you had to fill out this paper, you had to fill out that paper and send that information back in. So the machine of a college or university is working to onboard said student, but it's imperative when you come to orientation, you actually have access to those particular offices and their processes. If you had a question prior to coming, that you can actually get that information in person or take advantage of those additional times. And a lot of times parents have questions that students wouldn't necessarily ask. So again, when campuses invite you for orientation, it's important to take advantage of that and ask those said questions. And lastly, if I can't say anything else, read, respond, and read again, and ask questions. You know, a lot of times we get information and when things don't necessarily work out, or when we get to the campus and something just isn't quite right, the natural response is, well, possibly nobody told me, or I didn't know that. But we're in the age of information. You get information hand over fist. It's a lot. It can be a lot. Like I said, the machine is moving and the machine is working. So you're getting it from academics. You're getting it from the business office, or financial aid, or even your advisor. It can be a bit much. I understand that being overwhelmed with parents, you have to make sure that you support your student through that process and ensure that he, she, or them have access to that information and that they actually understand, because it can be a bit much. You know, a lot of times when I would do orientation, I would always ask, what's the difference between a high school senior and a college freshman? And really the difference is 3 months. They may have just finished up in May or June and starting in August or September. There's really no difference, you know, so we can expect them to act somewhat the same, even though they're just not physically in their childhood home or whatnot, but there is no difference. So they do need that support and that additional level of care and assistance through this process. But it's imperative that you read, open every email. And again, if it's something that you do not understand, there's a lot of self-service options at most institutions, but those that are not that far along and being advanced with technology, you know, you can pick up the phone and call. But I would first say make sure you can at least email to get any questions answered. Because again, you know, as you're onboarding the process, you're one of thousands, possibly, or one of hundreds that are attempting to go to said college or university. So again, I just want to drop on here and share that information that could, you know, pretty much just assist you in your journey and onboarding your particular student, or if it's a student watching him, her, or themselves. Just make sure that you're kind of, just some little tips to make sure that you're fully aware. But I can't say anything enough. You want to make sure you read. You gotta read. You have to respond, and just actively engage. That's the preface before you actually come to campus and be immersed in this particular life. Okay. Have a great day. It's a Monday. Most of you are already on campus. Some of you are going to your campus. But do these things and you'll be successful upon arrival. Thank you.